There we go. Good morning. Welcome to Atlantic Canada Cooks. My name is Michelle Alcorn, and I am here in my kitchen in Lower Coverdale, New Brunswick. And I am so excited every week about our episodes, but it is National Brunch Day. And who doesn't love brunch? And so everybody knows brunch, we brunch around the world, but it is like breakfast and lunch had a baby, which pretty much means you can eat anything and many of your favorite foods, but it is traditional to make sure that there's some eggs in there, some protein and vegetables. And we're looking forward to talking about some amazing local ingredients. And of course, I love having local guests. And one of our favorite guests is Louise from Delisur Canada, here in Moncton. And Louise, what are you going to be cooking for us today?
Well, I'm cooking something that is special for two reasons. The first is ripe baked plantains. Is a recipe from my grandmother. I had a great relationship with my grandmother, and believe it or not, this is a ripe plantain. It is black. So when you see this, people think, "Oh, this is rotten." No, this is perfect. This is when you have to use it. So this is the first recipe I'm going to make, and the other recipe is going to be stripes of eggs with tomato. It's a recipe of my own, and it is special because when I was dating my wife, it was one of the dishes I came up with, and she loved it. So it's kind of a romantic breakfast I prepare for her, at the beginning, and you're gonna love it. It's delicious.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And I have to say, I was speaking with your wife yesterday, and she says, I love it when he's up cooking with you on Sunday morning. I can smell it, and I'm looking forward to eating it. So, eggs are traditional, and I love it. And as we bring in cultures, and I want to say thank you to Louise. I am going to start my brunchy breakfast off with a little snack this morning. And one of the things, want you to go down to the Moncton Farmers Market and soon the Bactouche Farmers Market, which are very long, good friends of us here at Atlantic Canada Cooks, and taste his amazing food. So here we've got one of his empanadas. I just finished heating it up in the air fryer, which is so perfect to warm them up. And what I love about all of the food is the crust and everything is super light on the outside. I'm just going to cut this in half so everybody can see what's in. And, whoa, look at that. Perfectly cooked chicken. Look how full that is. That's a light, crispy crust. And you know what I like about the space? Just perfect for me to pour some sauce in. And he makes some of the best sauces, and I absolutely love them. But you know what I'm going to use today, and I saved this chicken, is we've got a couple of other companies. Good morning, Shinobu, or good evening from Japan.
Good morning, Michelle.
So good. We're talking brunch, Shinobu, and Shinobu loves to eat. We are working, and I'm so excited today, with a new product and a new really good friends, and it's Baker Rubnsmoke and I was asking my mom, have you been to Baker Lake, New Brunswick? And she's like, yes.
When I lived in Grand Falls.
Mom used to live in Grand Falls, New Brunswick, and this is just outside of Edmundston, New Brunswick. So thank you to Stephen and the crew. They have an amazing story about just barbecuing in the backyard and wanting that perfect combination. So this is a beautiful spice rub. You can use it for everything. And it's going to be featured in a lot of my recipes today because I have some smoked chicken. I've got some smoked pork that I did yesterday on my smoker using this product. I've already taste tested, and it is absolutely incredible. But I'm also going to be making, Mom and I are going to make a really traditional, we call it a farmer's breakfast casserole or farmer's bake. And this is an easy recipe. And I'm gonna get the oven on, which I should have done earlier. And we're gonna bake this at about 375. And what we wanna do, and Mom, can you put some water in that kettle and fill it right up and turn that on too, please? This is a really fun brunch item because it's like I'm putting all my breakfast items together in one pan and I'm gonna bake it. So this is one of the first things I'm gonna get into the oven. And it's just delicious and easy. And we've got a couple of friends gonna come over this afternoon and have some brunch with us. So I'm excited to share this with them. And then the other thing that we're gonna do this morning is we're going to do some bacon potato bites. And I love taking dishes that we've used generally for muffins and just showing you a different way to use this tin to create a really delicious bite that you can serve people when you have a few people coming over. And what I like about brunch, it's like an excuse for everybody to eat appetizers because you want to have lots of little delicious things to taste. The other thing that I'm gonna be making sure that we have with brunch is a little bit of toast and some nice jams and some great peanut butter. So let's talk about that peanut butter. We love talking about things that are made local. Local is wherever you are, but especially we want you to know what's local here in the province of New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, Prince Edward Island. So this is from our good friends at Nutsmith. We've had their products on here for about a year now. This is a beautiful, smooth peanut butter. And I like doing what I call fusion. So I've been experimenting with a peanut sauce for a very long time because my mother and I quite love our peanut sauce, don't we, Mom? We do. So what I've got here, and we're gonna have with our chicken empanada, is I have made a beautiful peanut sauce. Now, often used in a lot of Asian flavors, and it's interesting because the combination of it has lots of that barbecue and then it tops up. We used a little in our pad thai last night, also delicious. But I've already taste tested it and using it for a dip. So food is meant to be sauced. So I'm gonna tell everybody what I put in this, but I did use the base of it. I just want to show you the consistency because if I wanted to thin this out, I can. Just add a little bit of water to make it a little bit thinner. But this is here and get my chicken empanada out. And I'm just gonna drizzle a little bit of this on top because I think it's gonna be the perfect. I already know it's the perfect bite.
Now you
Wow.
can't talk.
Well, peanut butter sticks to the roof of your mouth too. It's like Venezuelan, Venezuelan Asian. Because of the spiciness and the chicken that's already in the empanada, and I have to say, Louise, that chicken is just so perfect inside. You can tell the attention that went into the flavor. But what I'm using this for more today is for a dip to have with our other chicken that we're having. But I want to show people to use different sauces with different combinations. So this was actually pretty simple. And I am going to publish this one. So I used 1/4 cup. This would be the ratio to get the flavor. I used 1/4 cup of our Nutsmith peanut butter. And then I used a tablespoon of the barbecue rub. Now, the great thing is the ingredients in this are so perfect. And for serving, it only has 10 calories. Thank you to these guys for not filling it with sugar. It does have some brown sugar in it, but for the most part, your ingredients are all of those fresh spices and seasoning that we love the best. And it has paprika, some onion powder, garlic, some sea salt, black pepper, and a little chili powder. So it already has those really great flavors that you would want to be including somewhat in a peanut sauce. So I use a tablespoon of this, and then I added in some lime juice. So I had about 3 tablespoons of lime juice, some water, soy sauce, and a little bit of ginger powder. So I added the ginger powder to give it that really different flavor. And I can tell you, it's amazing. Very excited. I'll send Mom away with that in a minute. But I'm gonna get the base of my casserole started, and we're gonna go over to Luis's kitchen and see how his recipe is going. But in the base of this, I am literally gonna take hash browns. This is the fun part about this. Potato hash browns that have already been made into perfect size. And that's what's gonna be the base. So what I'm gonna do while we go over and see Luis's kitchen is I'm gonna get my eggs prepared that are gonna be going on top of this prior to going into the oven. Let's go over to you, Luis, and check in your kitchen.
Hi guys. So the first thing we're going to do today is the sauce for the eggs. So I'm going to use this nice tomato Gargano. Is a tomato from Italy, which is always a good idea. Canned tomatoes are good, so don't think that because they are canned, they're not fresh. They are used in Italy. They are used by the greatest chef on earth. So good quality canned tomatoes are good. So the first thing I'm gonna do is chop very finely a clove of garlic, just like that. 1 clove of garlic, and I'm doing it right now. Right. So once you chop it, you put it in a pot like this with olive oil. Olive oil. And a good amount of olive oil there. All right. Don't be cheap. Oh, a lot. Like let's say 2 or 3 tablespoons. Yes, that much. You put the garlic in there. And it doesn't have to be super fine chop or even ground. You just put it there like as small as you can cut it. And then put it in the heat. And this is a good trick for the tomatoes. You put it in a bowl and you don't need to cut them with a knife or anything like that. You just put it there. And with your hands, guys, here, you smash them with your hands. That's how the Italians do. Yes, you wash your hands afterward, of course. Right, so you smash them as much as you can there. You don't want to find super big pieces of tomatoes there. But if you find a little bit of chunks here and there, it's fine. It's part of the fun of this recipe, right? This was the recipe I prepared for my wife when we were dating back in 2007. Right, so once this is done, I'm gonna add here. Wash my hand. Right, so here I'm going to add black pepper, but not just a little bit of black pepper, like a lot. A lot of black pepper there. Many rounds of this here. Because I want it to heat. To be heat. To sting you a little bit. Right, so let's say like 2 teaspoons maybe. Yes, a lot. Voila. So I'm gonna mix it with a spoon. Salt. In there. And regarding the amounts that you're using, don't be square in the kitchen. I mean, you don't need to follow exact recipes. All the cooks in the world, all the great cooks, sometimes they don't use recipes. Well, they use some, but it is like, you know, being plastic about it, being creative, and feel what you're preparing. If you feel balance is what you're looking for. Balance. Don't overwhelm any ingredient over others. So last ingredient here is going to be basil. Yes. So I got my little plant of basil. So I'm gonna cut like, let's say, some 8 leaves of basil, maybe. Or as many as you want. Or if you don't have basil, well, don't use it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I recommend to use basil. Voilà. So this amount of basil, like a handful, and I'm gonna cut it in stripes, right? We're going to use more basil at the end for, oh, you have your own. Awesome. I always have one of those plants here. So you cut it roughly here, and you put it inside the bowl as well. And that's it, guys. This goes now to my pot that is hitting there. I'm gonna let the garlic to perfume the olive oil, which is in the pot, before I put the sauce, before I put the tomato, right? So while that is happening, I'm going to use this guy, these plantains. I'm going to prepare 3. One for me, one for my wife, and one for our son. It's a lot, I know, but we're gonna eat a lot today. So what you do is you cut the edges here. Let me show you. Right? So you open it. As I showed you the other day with the green plantains. When you open this very carefully, because let's say the meat of the plantain is kind of stick to the peel, and you end up with this. Okay? This is different. This is very common in Latin America, especially in the Caribbean. But I know this is not very common anywhere else, but Africa maybe. So what I do is I cut it in kind of a half, but I don't cut it to the end. So what I want is to create a canal here. You see? Right. So wash my hands, and I'm gonna put the plantains in aluminum foil. I'm gonna show you how. Let me fix it here, and I will show you. All right. Gonna hold on. All right. Sorry, I was putting the tomato there. All right. So this is how I fix the plantain. You see? So here, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add butter. Butter, like this. You know, you put a couple of pieces of butter there. And I'm gonna put some, believe it or not, marmalade. Strawberry marmalade in Venezuela, or if I was in the Caribbean, I would use guava. I miss guava like a lot. There's no guava here in Canada. So I put some strawberry marmalade there, just okay. Some mozzarella. And a couple of bâtonnets of feta cheese. So mozzarella and feta cheese goes there. Boom. And I don't close it. I leave it open, you know, like this. And I will put it in my lovely oven, my little oven, which I love. I'm gonna put it there for half an hour.
So Luis,
Yep.
does that need to cook now for a little bit?
Yeah, half an hour.
A half an hour?
Yeah, I will have to prepare some other stuff, and so I can give you some time to continue with your maize.
Let me get a few more things for their brunch in the oven. You're gonna see something fun here. You might be like, why does Michelle have a cooler? Well, I have used this in the past, and I love this to be a great trick for cooking your corn. I call it cooler corn. But really, we're just using the benefit of the insulation that's already in this great cooler. And we have some beautiful fresh corn. We talk about what is growing and harvesting this time of year. It is corn season. And I love corn, actually corn any time of day, but corn with brunch is great. So what we've got here is we've cut up the corn that we want, that we're gonna have for our guests today. And we've got the corn all done up. And I've cut some of them into small and other I've left big. Beautiful color. It's so fresh. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my boiling water and pour it over the top of my corn. And hopefully I have enough to cover the corn. And for the most part, it's covered. Yes, Mom's gonna add a little more water. But it's okay because the corn's still gonna steam. And we're gonna put the cover on that. And I get to set this corn aside. And it'll be cooked in about 20 minutes. But the great thing is it sits much longer. And my company's coming around 10:30 for brunch. So this corn will be ready. Wonderful when you're traveling, you're going camping, or you have a large event. But one of the things that's gonna be great we're making today is a compound butter that we're gonna have to go on this corn. So I'm gonna come back to make the compound butter because I wanna finish my breakfast casserole to get that into the oven. So we did stop and put a little oil on the bottom. Thanks for reminding me of that, Mom. So our potatoes don't stick. They've got our base here. And this is a really kind of easy and fun recipe because I'm gonna make a few layers on this. Sit here so you guys can see. As we know, Mom and I love going to the farmer's market. And one of the other places we stopped for years because they've been around for so long. And we'll see here, it's Kurt's. And I know Luis is really familiar with them. They always have their sausage booth outside. You get some of the best sausages, but they do these really great meatloaves. This is a donair flavored one. I'm just gonna give that one to Mom. But this one here, you can see the great color on it. And it is fully seasoned with peppers. See that? And it's got black cracked pepper in it. I have become very addicted to these. They're delicious. And I'm gonna choose to use these as the protein that I'm gonna layer in the middle of our farmer's casserole. And I'm gonna use 4 of these slices because we all like to have that beautiful meat. You could put smoked turkey. You could do any layer of a wonderful flavored meat that goes into the middle. There we go, Mom. If you don't mind, I'll give you both that. And this creates this layer here. Now, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna sprinkle some green onions across the next layer. I feel like this is like a breakfast lasagna. But we're gonna sprinkle some of these green onions, and I prefer to use a green onion because they're not as harsh or heavy. So we're gonna run those across. And then I have my eggs all beaten here. And it's funny because we get fresh farm eggs. And while Louise was cooking, I was cracking the eggs, and 2 of them are what we call double yolkers. So when I cracked the egg out, 2 yellow yolks came out. So thanks, Mom. It's just gonna balance that. And now we're gonna pour those eggs across. Thank you for that. Teamwork is dreamwork here. And you can see that thin layer of egg that's across the top of it. And I used about 6 eggs because that works out great for what we want. And now I'm gonna top the top of this with some beautiful grated cheese. Now this grated cheese has a little bit of extra Tex-Mex seasoning in it. So it's gonna keep with our spicy theme for our brunch today. It's really about kind of that great outdoor barbecued and smoked meats. I think that looks good. What do you think, Mom? She loves cheese, so she's like,
Put a little more.
just a little more in the corner, Michelle.
Yeah, don't be stingy.
Don't be stingy with the cheese. There's a good word.
Yeah.
There we go. I think I got that all over. We'll give you that. It even looks cool and it looks nice there. So we're gonna put that into our oven. We're gonna let that get cooked. And that is gonna take about 30 to 35 minutes, so we should be ready right at the end of the show. Mom's gonna add a little bit more water to our cooler because we wanna make sure that they have lots of water in them. So one of the other things that we're building today is I got these great potato bacon bites. I love them. Again, it's a very easy thing. I'm using pork bacon today. But there's lots of different kinds of other bacons that you can get or different type of meats. But for brunch, you feel like you want a muffin, or again, the same thing. I like to serve things in small bites so that people can taste test a lot of different things. So I'm gonna thank my mom, and I think there might be one piece of bacon left around her. Did you put them all out? Right here. So it's Mom. So what you're gonna do is you take your bacon and whatever size it is, and we'll show you here. So each one of them has 1 strip of bacon. And if you can take that plate out of the way, Mom. And I think I have my trusty kitchen scissors here somewhere. And I'm gonna cut this piece of the bacon in half. I'm trying to not get both of my hands dirty while I do this. Mom, those can go in the sink. And then what I'm going to do, and I'm gonna show you here, is I'm gonna take half to go one direction through my muffin tin, and the other half to go the opposite direction. So it should be creating like little X's or cups
Yeah.
in each of your tray. So that the bacon that we were using was a little challenging, let's just say it that, but it looks good, Mom. So what I'm gonna put into the middle of these is my potatoes, which I usually lose the salt shaker today. I'm gonna use potatoes. Now these potatoes, I'm not gonna add any grease or oil to the bottom of this pan because the bacon's gonna have enough. But what I'm gonna put in it here is I'm gonna put a little bit of seasoned potatoes. So I'm gonna take this jar, these potatoes, and what I have done is I've cut the potatoes into small wedges so that they're gonna cook evenly and they're gonna cook faster. In each of the cups, I'm gonna use 2 potatoes, but in with the potatoes, I'm gonna add some of those green onions again. So these are all gonna bake in the oven. I'm gonna get a couple more in my board up here. And then I've got some fresh thyme from my garden. I love this time of year because not only is there so much available at our farm stands farmers markets all over Atlantic Canada. But many of us who plant in our backyard have all of our backyard herbs that are just huge, and mine are as well. So next week, we're going to be talking about eating local. And hopefully our weather will coordinate with us. And I also plan to be doing some grilling from the backyard next week. This week, we're going to show off the things that I already grilled. In here, I'm going to put some fresh cracked pepper. I'm not adding salt at this time because the bacon is a cured bacon and already has a lot of that nice salty flavor. But I'm also going to be making a topping that's going to go on these. So it doesn't really need extra salt because that sort of salsa I'm going to make that's going to top these, it's going to have some salt and seasoning in it. And I'm always mindful, right, Mom? To make sure that we're not over salting anything. So there's your potatoes and herbs. And if you don't have fresh thyme, you can really use any herb that you want. Oh, that's okay, Mom. I've got she's handing me a spoon. I'm like Louise.
fingers.
I started with fingers, and we're gonna keep doing that. One of my favorite things about when I do travel to Morocco, everything is about using our hands as we were intended to. So we're gonna put, like I said, 2 potatoes in each one of the cups. We're gonna make sure that there's a little bit of an onion that gets into each one of those cups because my onions are going to the bottom of my bowl. But that's all right. Make sure that bacon is up on the sides. We've got some of these that had some kind of little pieces.
Yeah.
And Mom did a good job kind of putting them into the tins, but we need them to cook evenly. And if we've got too much bacon, then they're not going to cook as evenly. There. So we're going to put the onions around on each one. Now, I know everybody wants to put cheese in these. We're not going to put cheese yet. We will do a little bit of cheese at the very end when we serve them. And because these are going to take quite a bit of time to bake, we've got to cook the bacon through. And we need those potatoes completely cooked through. So it's always great to cook like the way I am today. We have other things in the oven now, and we'll be able to get everything cooking at the same temperature. But then I got
Wrap
that.
them up.
Oh, I got 2 potatoes in one. We needed a little quality control on that one. See, they already look great. You can already tell they're just gonna be delicious.
Yes.
So let's get these into the oven and get them cooking. So we can have I am just checking the edges of the bacon into the cups. Because we had them sort of up on the side so we could stuff them. So that all of those cook perfectly inside. So let's get this in and let's get this cooking. There we go. Oh, look, the casserole already looking great. It's gonna wipe my hands off, get the potato and everything off them. Before I get into making sort of my salsa pico de gallo mixture, I thought I'd see what's going on with production in your kitchen, and it gives me a chance, Luis, to eat some more of my empanada.
Sure. Right. So we have the sauce ready, and we're going to start with the eggs, right? So I put here in this bowl like 5 eggs, which is going to be enough for my wife and I. Our son is camping with the Boy Scouts last night. So he's not here today. He was my helper last week. I miss him today. So I put here 5 eggs, as I told you. I put some salt and this ingredient, you won't believe it, soy sauce. Soy sauce for eggs, like a splash, because I want the color and the flavor, not too much. And you can use the dark one, which I'm using today, or you can use the other one, the clear one, right? So whisk this very well, and you will end up with a black mix, right? Or brown. I would say brown to black. So it's black eggs. which is different. And the soy sauce, believe it or not, doesn't interfere with the flavor too much. It's just something subtle that happens here. Okay? Again, more fresh black ground pepper here. Again, a lot. Yeah, okay. Done. I mix it again. And here's the part where I'm gonna miss Lorenzo, my son, because I would need him to show you what I'm going to do. So I'm gonna do it with one hand, so you can see here. So here's the here's the sauce. By the way, is done. It was like, I don't know, 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes is done. And here's what I'm gonna do with this pan. I put some olive oil there, a lot. This is not a fit recipe. It uses a lot of oil. So I'm gonna put the mix there. So a little bit, because I want to create a layer, as you see there. See the layer? Right. So with one of the these spatulas, I'm gonna take it out of there very gently, because what I want to create is a very thin tortilla, right? Because tortilla is also eggs in Spanish. It's not only what is usually known as a as a corn tortilla, or so as the Mexicans do. Tortilla is also eggs when you do this shape. So this is it. This is what I want. Try not to destroy it completely. And boom, I got it. I'm gonna take it out of here. Come back to my station. Right, so I will put it in my cutting table. Spatula. And I will show you what I do. And it's a little bit of laborious, I know. Then here I roll the egg and I cut it in stripes. Right? And these stripes are going in a bowl. I will show you. Voila. Let me clean my hands. So you start doing this several times until you finish your eggs, right? So on top of that is going the sauce. So now we're going to do some bread for this breakfast. So I just got a French bread I made myself. So this is yesterday's bread. So I put some butter in here, and I'm gonna put some chimichurri as well. If you don't know how to make the chimichurri, well, maybe in the next program we can do that. You have some there? All right, awesome. So I'm gonna take this brush, and I'm just gonna brush. I don't want to overwhelm the bread with the chimichurri. I just want some flavor there. Butter and chimichurri is a great combination. And I don't know if you do, but I love some of my stuff in the kitchen. I don't know why I love some of my gadgets, you know. And this grill I'm gonna show you is one of my favorite stuff. I love it. I know it's a simple stuff, but I don't know. I love it.
I have one too. I grill everything on it. I love it.
I simply love that thing. So the other bread, butter again. You can just put the butter there. You don't have to spread it because the grill will make the work of spreading it, right? So chimichurri, again, don't go wild with it, just a little bit because it's strong, right? And put it in your grill. And put it there for, I don't know, maybe 3 minutes, and it will do it.
All right, Luis, we're gonna come back and check on you in a few minutes and check on that.
All right.
So when you're serving brunch and you're getting things together, and I love hearing Luis's love story through this, when you're taking that food memory of this amazing breakfast that you made. And you know, a lot of the times when you walk into a home, you smell it first, and then you see that beautiful setup. So we're gonna share a bit of our food setup. And a big shout out to MacArthur's Flower Shop in Moncton, New Brunswick on Mountain Road. And we love this bouquet. Mom and I were particularly excited when we picked it up. It's got this beautiful summer but into fall look to it. And it's got some beautiful daisies. It's got several different types of greenery in it. And I should have asked, but this particular one, if you can see in the middle, so beautiful. It looks like a cabbage. It even feels like one, as Mom said. So get some flowers into your life. Every day I can stop and smell my rose and smell those roses that are in there. And they really do add a huge level of beauty when you're sitting down and enjoying that meal. I'm smiling as Luis is doing that. Because one of the things I said, there's a couple of other sauces we're going to enjoy today to have with our meal, which by the way, my kitchen smells delicious. But I've some softened butter here, and you're going to love this, Luis. Butter on corn. And you know, putting some flavoring in your butter is an excellent way to go. So believe it or not, I actually have some of his chimichurri here in my kitchen, and this is exactly what I'm going to do with this. So I am going to put his chimichurri, this is from Luis, right inside of this butter. And believe it or not, we're going to mix this together, and it is what we're going to be using for one of our toppings that's going to go on our hot corn. So you're going to get that creaminess of the butter that you're looking for, but a little bit of that extra. Look at that ratio too. Luis, this is like perfect. I can smell a bit of the heat in there, and it's going to be an absolutely delicious topping. And I like to do this often with fresh herbs as well. So when I'm having corn on the cob, as we call it, we're still eating it on the cob, is to have a few different treats that I can dip that corn in. And I have to mention, we all know that Michelle loves Morocco. When I was there this summer, it was absolutely awesome because on the beach, on the street corner, everywhere you went, you could get the freshest corn. He was cooking it right there. And they always had great extra seasoning toppings if you wanted it. So it's often a great street food. And it's a great street food around the world. So I just want to hold that up. You can see how amazing that looks. And that's like the perfect ratio with using his chimichurri sauce in it. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix a little bit more butter up. And I'm going to use some butter, and I'm going to put a little bit of the barbecue rub in it. So I'm going to put the Baker Rubnsmoke in with a little bit of butter and use that for my guests today as just a different seasoning again that they can enjoy along with. Now, my last part, oh, here we go. Look right in front of me. I have some beautiful diced tomatoes. These don't get any more local. In the backyard. Exactly, Mom, because they picked them in our backyard. So when I'm making a fresh salsa like this, I did take some of the seeds out of the middle. So I keep what we call the meatier edges of it. And I want to make what's a little bit more like a pico de gallo for today. And I've also cut up some beautiful red onion here. And the ratio of onion to tomato is pretty close to 50-50 when you're making this particular blend, because I want that onion to tomato ratio. So I'm going to put those in there. The other thing I'm going to be adding to this is I've got some garlic that I've already chopped up. Again, nice fresh garlic from the backyard. So it has a really strong taste, which is amazing. And in this bowl, I've got some diced up onion that I'm gonna put in here. And I'm doing a little bit of a blend. This has got some onion and it's got a little bit of lettuce in here. And I want that done that way, but like Louise, instead of using what would be traditional, which would be cilantro today, I'm probably making this a little bit more on the Italian side. Because what I'm gonna add to this, look at that beautiful mixture. And it does, it also looks like the Italian flag. When you're going through that, people joke about that. But I am also gonna take some fresh basil. Because I wanna pull another one of those great fresh herbaceous flavors. I hope we inspire more people to cook with herbs. To get some fresh herbs in your kitchen. Stop at your farmer's market, purchase them. Whatever. I know when I love cooking in Morocco because every day we go get our fresh herbs and we know they've been picked that morning. So as I'm trimming my plant, you can see how the basil grows and you can see where it's always sprouting new. I am going and pinching off the big leaves, which will give more life to that little grouping that's ahead of it. So I'll be able to harvest this little plant for quite some time because it's gonna make sure it keeps growing. And I'm sure Louise does the same thing because we love our fresh herbs. I wish I could get cilantro to work in my kitchen. I don't know if anybody in the world has a secret to figuring out how to get cilantro to grow in my kitchen because I can't seem to do that, but I can get some thyme and basil. I am gonna cut my stack of leaves in half once. And drop one. At least this time it didn't go in my coffee. That's happened many times when I've dropped things. And I'm rolling them. And I'm gonna use my kitchen scissors, as we often say here. You can cut them into strips or chiffonade them, as Louise said. But I'm just gonna use my scissors and cut them into small strips. And the last couple of things I'm gonna add to this recipe is the most important, some olive oil and then some salt and pepper. And this tastes really great in about an hour. I mean, you can eat it now fresh for sure. But after about an hour, the flavor of the basil really becomes more open. And I think it's just gonna add a great addition to our brunch table. Gonna get the olive oil. Again, food memories are already great. Jawad, you'll recognize that olive oil bottle. And his family has some olive oil farms in Morocco. And I'm gonna tell you, I've tasted some of the best olive oil in my life there. I know Italy often gets the credit, but if you get a chance to get some Moroccan olive oil, I highly recommend it. And of course, some very traditional salt and pepper that we're gonna put in here. And then we've got this beautiful bowl of bruschetta that we're gonna have that we can enjoy with your eggs, with your casserole. But remember those beautiful potato and bacon bites? This is gonna make a really nice fresh topping to go on top of those. For those who don't wanna add cheese, or they can add cheese and this bruschetta mixture. And there, it smells amazing. Because when you use good ingredients and you use really good fresh local ingredients, and you already know your tomatoes and your basil and your onions taste good, you already know that you're gonna have a good recipe. So while I organize a few things to get my final breakfast table ready here, I'm gonna go over to Luis, see what he has going on. But I have to show you off. These are 100% beef sausage yesterday. I got a dig in hearts, Luis. This is a vendor that's near him. But what I did with these, now they're dried and cured, is I did them on my smoker yesterday for about an hour and a half.
Wow.
And I'm hoping that you can see the smoke ring that comes out on them. There's that beautiful dark beef in the center, but you can see the ring from where they were slow smoked. And these are gonna be going on our breakfast board just for people to have a little bit of those nice dried cured beef. And a big shout out because they're always gluten-free and dairy-free, so you don't have to worry about allergies, but they have all the flavor there. And when we wrap up, I'll show you the beautiful pork and chicken that we did yesterday. But Luis, why don't you show us what you've got in your kitchen?
Awesome. So this is what I love about this dish. You see, you end up with the eggs that looks like pasta. You know, these stripes of eggs. You just take that egg you out of a pan and put it in your cutting board, and you just roll it as if you were doing a chiffonade, but you know, it's eggs. So you end up with these eggs in the shape of pasta or something like that, right? So on top of this, I'm gonna put the salsa, of course, all the sauce. By the way, the word salsa means sauce in Spanish. So I'm gonna put some sauce on top of the eggs, as if it was pasta again. And on top of that, I'm gonna put some more basil and some olive oil. Right, so let me finish the plating here and I will show you. I also cut some basil in chiffonade with some olive oil. There's a cook's trick when you cut any herb and you wanted to keep it, let's say, you wanted to avoid the oxidation, you add olive oil in a bowl and it will add shine to the herb, and you can use it to add shyness to your plate. Right, so once this is done, this is what you get. So you get a little plate of eggs in a pasta shape with some sauce on top. So you're eating like pasta in your breakfast, but it's not pasta. It's actually full of protein. So the bread is done. The eggs are done. So let's see how the plantains are going. It's actually 1 minute. 1 minute left, but I'm gonna show you this. I'm gonna show you this beauty. Look at this, guys. So I'm gonna plate the whole thing and I will show you all.
Luis, I love that you get as excited about food as I do. Kids, we all have an excitement moment in the kitchen. It's like, ha ha.
Well, guys, this is what I call a perfect brunch. This is what I call a brunch that me and my wife are going to love. That plantains are delicious. They're sweet, and their combination with the cheese, with the butter, and the eggs is something simply perfect for a Sunday.
Luis, you're gonna take a picture, right?
Yeah.
Before you eat that?
Picture this time, yeah.
Right? That looks beautiful. Inshallah, I say have an amazing brunch with your wife. And you know, Mom and I are excited. We're having some snacks. Our company will be coming in a little bit, and we'll share some pictures of that. And I hope that all of you get a little bit of our energy about getting up in the morning on a Sunday morning, cooking with people that you love, for people that you love, brings a lot of joy into your day. We're so thankful for all of you that come and take the time to join us in person, and to our YouTube fans. Sign up for our newsletter, please. We're gonna make sure that you follow along too. We're gonna show you our last recipes here. Follow along with Louise at Delisur Canada. I know Jawad will add the links. And stay tuned because he and I have a lot of really fun fusion food and some adventures in the next few months together. But let's wrap up we're down to the last couple minutes in the oven. They're not completely cooked, but Mom and I are gonna pull them out and let you have a look. We too have a beautiful, let's see if I can pull this over. Brunch setup that we're really excited about. I love it here. Our New Brunswick tartan. Thank you from Cheryl Taylor's Tartans is underneath. And I just want to show you, hopefully, I think the corn is cooked perfect, but I did take this guy out. And hopefully it's still hot enough. We're gonna put some of that beautiful butter. Oh, yeah. Look at that melting. With Louise's chimichurri through it. Louise, this is gonna be so good. There's a new street corn. Maybe on Sundays you can do one of these, or Saturdays at the market, someone can grab a quick corn along with their empanada to sit outside. This is going to be absolutely delicious. Look at the beautiful chimichurri sticking to the outside. Yeah, like it's just melting. You know, I want to bite. Wow. That's going to be one of my new favorites. So we talked a bit. I want to say an extra thank you to Stephen and the guy with Baker Rubnsmoke. We love involving another part of New Brunswick in our day. And this was my first time using their product yesterday. It exceeded my expectations. Here you can see this beautiful pork loin. Look at the rub across it. And I'm hoping again soon with the lighting, look at the beautiful smoke ring. You can see inside of that. And the flavor on the outside is amazing. Here, Mom will give you a little taste test. She hasn't had a chance to try one yet. This is cool because I did cook it yesterday, but for my brunch, I want to serve it. And it's the only seasoning I used on it. I did make sure I smoked this pork loin smoked at about 200, and it was about an hour and 45 minutes because I wanted to pull in my mesquite flavored wood pellets is what I used. But it's absolutely beautiful. Delicious. Yeah, right, Mom? And then this chicken, again, I have to say, beyond exceeded my expectations. I had smoked yesterday. I cut it this morning. And it has stayed. Look at the moisture in that meat. And I think it's really key to be able to say how I the rub flavors in there. I did that perfectly on the smoker. And again, I've already tasted it, tested. It's absolutely amazing. So we're going to see more of their incredible products. But I hope you enjoyed the fusion part of our dish today. Yeah, we're going to seek one of those out of the oven. But the other thing I have here on my table, I've got some beautiful olives to sit. I've got some of, actually, it's funny, Done Right's barbecue sauce as a dipping flavor here as well. And of course, that beautiful peanut sauce that I had made. We're going to have this with our fresh local bread. And yeah, Mom, we're going to tag team this casserole because it's done. Here we go. Wow. Look at this. You see that cheese all melted across the top. I love using the glass dishes and see how the egg is perfectly cooked through. It smells amazing. Like, wow. And now we're going to show you. Here, Mom, I don't think they're ready. They're not ready, but we're going to give you a sneak peek and we'll add to it afterwards. Because they're close. Ooh, smelling delicious. The potatoes aren't quite cooked through yet.
They smell good.
But they smell amazing. And you can see that bacon is crisping up and cooking down. But they probably need about 10 more minutes in the oven.
Yeah.
So that those potatoes get cooked through. But we're going to top those off again with a little bit of that bruschetta. And I'm going to use some grated Parmesan cheese just to give everybody a way how they ever want to have their bacon and potato bite. I can tell you something, they smell absolutely amazing right under my nose. And see, Chanel was like, I want a bite of those. Very simple to use. Use your favorite herbs. And as I said, and a huge thank you to Luis from Delisur Canada for sharing his food culture with us. And our incredible local Nova Scotia and New Brunswick partners from Nutsmith and Baker's. I love that. The Mummy's been there and I have not visited there. The Smoke and Rub. And we're going to tell you how to connect with them. We just want to say thanks for coming to enjoy brunch, a National Brunch Day in our kitchen. And next week, we're going to have some extra fun with some other guests as well, talking about eating local. So one of the things, it's Saturday mornings that you can see Louise at the Moncton Farmers Market and soon at the Bucktouche Farmers Market. So Louise, is there any final words that you'd like to share with our audience? And just thank you so much, everybody, for joining.
Well, thank you for having me again, Michelle. Thank you for the opportunity to share our gastronomic uses. And remember to cook healthy, cook with love for your family, share with your family, your friends, and get together around food. That's what I love it. Have a great weekend, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.